Hello, friends. Welcome to Talking with Famous People. If you're familiar with this television program, then you already know that I frequently admonish others to not forget to remember to eat plenty of cheese. But I never really go into the question, what do you do if you've eaten plenty of cheese and that's still not enough? It's not enough to bring you to enlightenment, if that's your goal, I think for most people I know, enlightenment is the clear goal in life, to be as enlightened as Eckhart Tolle or Deepak Chopra. Boy, if I could just be enlightened as Eckhart Tolle and Deepak Chopra, I'd really have something going on, huh? Yeah. So my answer basically is, what do you do if there's not enough cheese? Or if you've had plenty of cheese, but it's still not enough? Well, the answer is embrace the teachings of Deepak Chopra and Eckhart Tolle. Because the wisdom of their bullshit and I is so wise that it'll just moisten all of your orifices. If you'd like to moisten your orifices, now, hold on a second there, leaf trimmer. If I'm not mistaken, yeet means to toss away from you an empty container as though there were no trash cans. So are you saying you'd like to do that to me? Toss me aside like an empty container as though there were no trash cans? Cheers, thumbs up. BS. Oh, Deepak Chopra? No, KD. You've got to appreciate the great wisdom of our two huge spiritual leaders, Eckhart Tolle and Deepak Chopra. Why? Oh, well, you see, KD, he read cheese as cheers. So why you got to be a dick? Why you got to be a dick? You know what I'm saying, dog? I'm putting on some pants for you. So why you got to be a dick? These pants cannot possibly be my pants. They're way too short to be my pants. Oh yeah, don't forget our other spiritual leader, Teal Swan, of course. Teal Swan is like, she's like the Deepak Chopra of Eckhart Tolle's. It really is quite an accomplishment. Rachel, what made you think that your little black pants that would be capris on me could possibly be my pants? I don't know. I don't know what she was thinking when she put her pants with my pants, even though they clearly were not my pants. Oh, Eric, quick update. My mom's a bipolar shouting mess. I made a horrible decision coming here. I don't see how those two things are related. Are you saying you should be paying attention to mom right now, not this live stream? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, guys, look at that. That's class. I put on pants for you. That is some classy live streaming. You want to talk about a classy guy, that host Eric. Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant attending this live stream. It sounds like you don't really have particularly great options in terms of your living situations. You've got an alcoholic father and a bipolar mother. That's well, if your mom really is bipolar, if that's her problem, bipolar mania, then that's a very fixable problem with the right combination of drugs. Yeah, I wouldn't. You know, normally I'd be just wearing my jock strap. I like to just go around with a jock strap, with the two straps to go up your butt cheeks. a little, a little, little package thing there. Put your genitals in. When I was in middle school, of course, it was a more barbaric time, and it was still back in the days when, you'd go into the locker room after PE in 7th grade, and the coach would say, everybody strip and get in the showers. And there were showers like in a prison, like there was one thing with like 5 shower heads coming off of it, and this is, seeing me change clothes. Oh, I thought you meant some sort of grand ontological change. They required you to have a jock strap. You had to buy a jock strap, and like early in the process of PE, the coach would come around and check to make sure everyone was wearing their jock strap. It's like really, really weird, right? If you think about it. But things aren't really like that anymore, I guess. Yeah, NTPs speak very similarly to one another in general. You talk to one or listen to one speak for some stretch of time, it's pretty, if you get the linguistic pattern, if you get the feel for it, it's pretty easy to tell who's an NTP. I sometimes have trouble typing INTPs from ENTPs, both because INTPs can come across more extroverted than they might otherwise in that context, and ENTPs can come across as more TI than they might otherwise. I wouldn't say X. I'd say it's actually Y. And I always do. I always do that. I don't always do that, by the way. There are times when I go like, yeah, that sounds right. That makes sense. Okay, Katie. So, okay, so that's important to make sure you're asking the right question, right? If I don't like where your question is leading, then you're asking the wrong question. I don't want to accept my answer to that question as something that I got to deal with on the flow from this point forward, right? So it's like if you put me in a place where I'm going to have to answer a question one way or the other, I'll either answer it because it's relevant and I know the answer, or I'll say, if you're trying to play a game with your question, in other words, if you're trying to framework me in some way, I'm not going to let that happen. So that's why that plays out like that, It doesn't not count, leaf trimmer. Let's put it that way. It doesn't not count. Eric was so sweet last night. He put on pants for us. I was like, you don't have to do that for us. I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. Yes, there are functioning alcoholics and addicts. The thing is, I personally think it's most difficult to be meaningfully functional as an alcoholic. But that's me and my experience, you know. I've been addicted to various things most of my life, you know. So, or habituated anyway. I don't think technically on a sort of TI level, I would technically say the only thing that I'm truly addicted to is cigarettes. Like, I will experience withdrawal symptoms if I don't smoke for a long enough time. I mean, I was an alcoholic who ultimately had to quit completely. I was unable to sustain a good life and also sustain drinking alcohol, no matter what moderation methodologies I attempted. It didn't matter. The thing about alcohol I've come to conclude is that for me personally, it makes me make bad decisions about whether to consume more alcohol. So this is one of the things that I've stressed for a long time, is it's really important for people to understand that addiction is not a general problem. People have difficulties with specific substances, and Narcotics Anonymous is wrong in its approach. It's silly to say, I'm going to deny myself any kind of head-changing firefighter when you're obviously an addict, you know? You got to find something that's sustainable and manageable. That's my opinion on it. But, I mean, it's plausible to be happy and successful working like a regular serious sobriety program of some sort, I think. But for me, I don't find that it's a good idea to invest that much time and attention into just being healthy when I don't feel unhealthy when I have some temporal bargaining room to operate. Temporal bargaining, as I've explained before, is something I keep losing my train of thought. I mean, weed doesn't really make you much of anything, Raphael, once you smoke it on a regular basis. As I've explained before, it really depends on your relationship with the substance. So different people have different relationships with different substances. I've dated people in the past who had absolutely no problem with alcohol, you know? I don't agree with focusing on being healthy. I'm disagreeing with the definition of healthy. I think a healthy individual is not one who's in constant battle with themselves, who has to engage in a program of self-maintenance in order to just get by in life, you know? So thank you. So it's like, for me, a healthy person has indulgences. I appreciate it, Leaf Trimmer. Thank you. It's helpful. I'm feeling kind of spacey right now. And, you might say, well, that's because you just smoked weed. Or, well, sort of, kind of. but I'm always kind of spacey in the same fashion. And it has more to do with mood, time of day, etc., than anything else. You're in constant battle with the cleanliness of your room. I wish I were in more constant battle with the cleanliness of my room. I'm in very not constant battle with it. I just let it be unclean. When I live stream, I have this, Bobby's son, it's very hard to find now. I don't know what happened with F and GJ, but you can find F and OJ, but you can't find really F and GJ at most supermarkets now. I can occasionally find it. It's gotten more expensive as well. You're battling with reaching your potential. Well, I mean, when you say the bar that you can answer those TI questions, but only if they're written out in front of me, it's harder to solve while listening. Typically, that's a combination of NI and TE. So it's like the most striking example of that is an ENTJ, who really struggles to process language delivered verbally, and yet has no problem processing that same language when they have a visual reference point. ENTJ is the most dramatically that way of all the types. But it is the case that for NITI users, Beta Quadra, even for Beta Quadra, there's the tendency to do a little bit better when it's not just presented auditorily. But that differentiation helps me to distinguish between types sometimes. So like that girl I typed on a live stream earlier today, she was very NI, not NE, in her approach to the TI problems. So the fact that she said that she wrote some of it down, but that then she said she wrote some of it down to make sure that she wasn't impacting it, would suggest absolute valued TI, which could be 1, 5, 3, or 7. But oh, did I make a video of writing them out? How does TI third slot versus TI tool? I mean, second slot's a lot more active than third. That's the bottom line. So it's your default approach to everything. Rachel responds to things I say and do on a FE level first, then processes the exact meaning and sometimes realizes she's wrong. She wasn't on camera. She was just on the microphone. I didn't get to see what she looked like either. But I don't use that data anyway. For me, it doesn't matter if I can see him or not. It's probably better I don't, because I prefer not to process that data. It's like I definitely have this thought that somebody looks Beta Quadra, for example, is basically the one area where if somebody's got a certain kind of eyes and face, I think they're probably Beta Quadra. I try not to let it impact my typing of them at all, because I don't believe that I should let visual data influence my typing like that, because it's not defensible argumentationally. So I kind of like it better when I can't see them, actually. But I mean, I don't like it better, but after the fact, I feel more confident that I wasn't led astray by irrelevancies. Is reverse engineering a common thing for TE DOMs? When you ask those TI questions, I seem to try to find the answer the asker is looking for. Well, that's common to interface types in general. TE DOMs and FE DOMs will both do that. I'm having this battle with this parent of mine. Well, not battle, but we're actually making some progress. So the thing is, she keeps wanting to try to craft the product to match what the teacher wants, but she's also coming afoul of the fact that when we do what the teacher wants, it comes out shitty because the teacher wants shitty, dumb stuff. Like, the teacher wants the kids to be really earnest and like take everything she takes seriously, you know. She doesn't approve. Almost certainly an ENFP, this teacher. She's on some levels, very good with language, and on some levels, very bad with language. And I find that to be the textbook description of an ENFP, you know. On some levels, they're great with words, but they're only great with them within their own frame of reference, and they don't validate, you know, these other frames of reference. So anyway, the mother really was trying to craft stuff for the teacher's preferences, but the thing is, she can tell also that the things that are tried that way, come out shitty, because of course her son's an ENTP, and if she wants anything good out of him, he's got to actually be motivated to say something. He can't just be trying to get a grade. It can't just be instrumental. He's countervalues TE. He needs to have ideation involved in the thing, and he needs to have he needs to be allowed to use his tool function. She's trying to constrain him to basically using an interface approach to this thing that denies him any ideational ownership or any use of his tool function, and of course it fails again and again. And I keep explaining this to her, but she's anti-polar. Well, this last topic, I think I got through to her a bit because, you know, what I also explained is there's a quality that ESTJs especially don't get. If your shit's good enough, they can't do anything. If your shit's original and good and powerful enough, they can't do anything without making themselves vulnerable. So it's like, she may not like what you're saying, but she does understand that she's going to have to justify herself if called out for critique, for penalizing you for it, you know? And so it's really important that you do the deliberation action approach when thinking about things like this, I think, especially. When I think about schools or systems or bureaucracies, I don't think about interfacing with them. I think about action deliberation things. Like, okay, well, you should attack it like this, because if you make this kind of argument, you put her in a corner. She's going to have to either do meow, meow, or meow. I'm trying to control the action, right? I'm trying to constrain what she's able to do, not try to figure out what she wants. Well, it's not. It would be. It seems that way to ESTJs, probably to ENTJs as well, that it's less work to try to figure out what they want and provide what they want. But of course, it's only less work if those are the things that come naturally to you and you value. If what comes naturally to you is being original, creative, and also being sort of oppositionally argumentative, then you know you gotta ride the horse. You gotta go home with the girl you came to the dance with, so to speak. And you're foolish to try to behave otherwise, other than your nature. He's only going to succeed as an ENTP. He's never going to succeed as a forced ESTJ, like his mom wants him to, And of course, the ESTJs go, but this is the easy part. Just keeping track of it, organizing it, figuring out what you want. This is the easy part. It's the stupid part. It's like the boring part, Just like for you, it's too much work to try to be creative and argumentational. Why don't you just figure out what she wants and give it to her? Well, it's the same thing for the ENTP. It's too much work to try to figure out what she wants and give it to her. And it stinks like shit to us as well. It's like, oh, I can't smell any more of this experience. It's like, it's hard for me to even work with the kid and the mom. Sometimes we spend half an hour arguing about what he should do. But she keeps coming back to me anyway. I keep telling her, the teacher doesn't like your son and doesn't trust him and thinks there's something wrong with him because she's probably an ENFP. She doesn't want to give him an A. He's probably going to get a B in this class. You're going to have to just sort of live with that. If you want to preclude him from getting a B, have him actually earn an A by popping, with NI instead of some sort of interfacey bullshit. Even if I like the teacher, I become adversarial towards anything. Like, in other words, it's much easier for me to clearly articulate a position that something either states or infers and to contradict it, to negate it in some fashion, than anything else. That's the most natural and easy thing to do. Even better is to critique the frame. So that's what she doesn't want him to ever do, is critique this teacher's frame and say, the problem here is this assignment in some clever way that makes it legal, so to speak, as it fulfills the assignment at the same time as critiquing it, which is the only thing that he's potentially interested in doing. So it's like, there's zero good comes out of, and of course, him being FI 7th and NI 5th means he's unaware that it's important either way. He's ready to go along and get along, and it's frustrating. It's a real clash of values, It's a real clash of values and an unfortunate confluence of blind spots or ignoring in blind spots where he doesn't realize it's important to take a position, It's just Arkansas. Just kidding, Arkansas. Just kidding. I'm just joking. I don't have any problem with Arkansas. Which type makes for the best parent and or teacher? I mean, I think it depends what type you are. So I will say that I'm a very good teacher. I'm a very successful teacher. I have a lot of TE at work. The thing is, that's partially why I get into conflict with the mom, because being an ESTJ means not recognizing when interface is contraindicated. Like TE, my dad will go from TE to FE to NE, and that's about it. With SI all the way along the way, So he'll interface this way. I think, oh, is this a social thing? I remember this one time when it was a social problem before. How about this social interface? And, well, how about this NI? How about this crazy NE nonsense? And that's as far as it goes. That's as far as their conversation goes. When I get to TI, he starts going like, "Oh, please, Eric, I don't want to argue with you." So as far as good parents go, for me, I had great parents in ESTJ and an ISFJ. Which types make the best cheese? Which type makes for the best cheese? Different question, I guess. I don't know. I've never made any. I've never eaten any cheese out of human beings. If you were to take human breast milk from a woman of each of the 16 types and make cheese out of it, you'd have to get multiple instances to make sure that whatever difference between the taste of the cheeses came from the type rather than from some other factor. I suspect that whatever cheese taste differentiations there were in between the different breast milk cheeses, that they would be more influenced, so much more influenced by non-type factors than by type factors, as to render whatever influence type might have on the taste of breast milk cheese irrelevant. That's my guess. Now, I'm just speculating here, having never even once had any breast milk cheese. But I've always been a very popular, well-liked teacher. Generally well-liked by admin, staff, and students. That's an interesting question, Winston's mom. That's a different way to do the invention thing, kind of like, tell me about their marriage. Tell me about the marriage of these two objects. Vomiting? You're vomiting? Is that some new thing that I don't know about? What are you doing? I'm vomiting. Oh, what's that? You don't know? You don't know about vomiting? God, how are you so out of it all the time? Everybody knows about vomiting. You know what my dad did earlier tonight, which was interesting? He shared with me a Pussy Riot video. No, I'd only want to make it means being sick. Really? Vomiting? Or you mean vomiting? I would only want to eat breast milk cheese from my own woman, I think. How does FI inferior work? Not caring about expressing oneself? Well, like with my dad, he really has trouble with, like, for example, I'll go in there and want to chat with him, but he currently is in his TESI thing. Whatever time it is, I go to talk to him. He's got something that he's currently doing or thinking about or planning or working on or whatever. And so he's always kind of brusque about my interruption. Even if I haven't seen him in a day or something, I haven't seen him and I go into chat, he can be not really very down to chat. And I think that's an example of FI fourth for him, where he forgets to care about things that are important to him. He does care about expressing himself in the sense that if if you settle in and let him roll, he can talk at you for quite a long time about a variety of different subjects. He talked to me about Pussy Riot tonight because he was very surprised that, because I guess, it's like he doesn't kind of update his frames of reference very often. He was very surprised that a Russian band was making political commentary about U.S. politics that was so slickly well produced. I don't know if that no, you don't have inferior FI. You have 6th slot FI, which is inferior means 4th slot. 4th slot FI is ESTJ or ENTJ. You are neither an ESTJ nor an ENTJ. Sixth slot FI is not about expressing yourself in general. NE is about expressing yourself. FI is about, the only people who think that FI is about expressing yourself are people who have FI in their front stack. They think FI is about expressing yourself because to them, when they generate ideas or whatever, it's about their authentic feeling-based experiences. Whereas, if you want to tell, a universal story about the human experience or something, that's very different than if you want to tell a story that really conveys your authentic understanding of things, right? KD, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous what you're saying there. It's offensive. You have a moral responsibility to prioritize free expression over authoritarianism. For goodness sakes. Don't be so reactionary. You're embarrassing me in front of the girls. I'm serious. So many people take a nihilistic stance on their life, so you think all these people have low FI? Not necessarily. I don't know why you say so many people take a nihilistic stance on their life exactly. Well, the bar, don't believe those things about FI. FI is an interested decision-making calculus. It's knowing what's important to you. Now, for FI people, especially NFPs, they think that expressing yourself means expressing your feelings. But it is absolutely not the case. Is he not hitting on you right now, or is he not hitting on you anymore? Did he stop hitting on you? Eric, read above. What am I supposed to read? Everything's going so fast. You're constantly making connections between things I like and I being able to list my favorite things in very precise order of how I like them, FI. Well, that making connections between things you like, it really depends on what kind of connections you're making as to whether they're NI or SI. So if you're making connections to previous associative links, for example, a lot of times when I drive by a restaurant, I'll link to a time I went there in my memory rather than to some thought about how seafood restaurants are less popular right now than they used to be or something, that would be relevant to the NI-SI distinction there. It was a 2-part message. Can you distinguish FI from NI for me? I spend a long period of time processing things that are important to me, and this ends with FI and NI conclusions from what you told me. Well, the thing is, NI is about the external world, and FI is about your internal authentic self. FI, when earlier, Rachel and I were talking not on the live stream, I guess, just talking about, as we every once in a while do, talking about our previous relationship with a BPD person. And she talked a little bit about hers, and my mood shifted dramatically. I went from a happy mood where we were practicing some songs after the live stream to like just quiet and sad feeling, or not upset, like angry at all, just kind of depressed. And the reality of that was I don't like it, hearing about Rachel's previous relationship, especially that one, because when I imagine the way that a BPD person is abusive to the other person, I imagine that playing out sexually. So even if she's not talking about that aspect of it at all, I'm pretty good at intuiting that stuff. So it makes me feel bad. So George Morris, yes, that would be great. I'm sure Frank James will be very grateful for the offer. Yeah, that would benefit me a great deal. Unfortunately, I don't think it would help Frank James at all. BPD people are difficult. But, and so we ended up going in and lying down and ended up having sexual intercourse. Being bipolar means those things are slow to process for me, but that one was pretty clear to understand. It's like it's one of the things that I do recognize that I feel similarly to Leaf Trimmer in general about the reality that most men face, which is that their woman is going to have had a lot more partners than they have, and there's very little conquering of new ground, so that's hard reality for I think most males to deal with. It makes them feel, in general, I guess, less significant or special in some fashion, and potentially, depending on how people treat each other, it can make the man feel unsafe, But the bar, you say sociology seems more about priorities. Well, the thing is, we don't really prioritize attentional manners. We habitually attend via certain approaches, and as far as values go, again, we don't really prioritize in terms of values. We treat them as different kinds of values. Some are absolute values, some are instrumental values. This is the TI thing that Octavia Silva says I always do, but I'm having to contrast here against what I am always having to contrast against, which is the wrongness of other systems of typology. So I've got no choice but to do that. I don't feel ashamed by women or anyone for thinking this way. But I also don't normatize it or universalize it in the way I think that you do, which is to say, I don't render from this that there's something inherently bad or wrong about that reality, even though I find it an unfortunate one, you know? Just because something makes me feel bad doesn't make it a bad thing. How to say it better than Effie ignoring insisting Eric read your message and then telling him it was 2 parts. Nothing wrong with doing that, but I generally don't. Octavia Silva is not afraid to be a pain in the ass. That's the thing. That's very Effie ignoring. She knows how frustrating it is trying to get me to pay attention to something for long enough to finish answering the question. She's got a lot of experience with that, so you gotta give her all the slack she wants in that regard. I'm difficult, it's like I'm difficult to get answers out of because I'm so easily distracted by different things. You know what I like it is when people accuse each other of being immature. It's like, you're here hanging out with me. How much are we prioritizing maturity around here? I don't remember us ever really prioritizing that as a value. That's the sort of thing you might prioritize, I think, is the maturity, right? As maturity not being a cognitive function. Maturity meaning, being serious and taking things seriously, yeah, damn it. Like caring a lot about important stuff. Jeez. Maturity is knowing when to bowl, when it's appropriate to bowl a long rip. And immaturity is pulling a long rip like at an inappropriate time, like when you're on camera live streaming or something. I'm a little bird that is broken out of his egg, okay? I want everybody to remember this. Why, Joe, you especially need to remember this. You need to keep this in your mental safe where you keep all your most valuable pieces of information. I'm a little bird that is broken out of his egg. Yeah. No, what? Lee Trimmer? I wasn't even talking shit, really. I didn't mean to be talking shit. I just saw the word, and I just thought that's funny because people have for a long time accused me of two things: being immature and unprofessional. Being accused of being unprofessional used to piss me off until finally I said, "Okay, fine, I'm unprofessional. Fuck off." Then I realized it was okay. I don't want to be mature and professional. It makes my jaw hurt. Actually, I think that's my tooth infection, but close enough. Smoking weed enhances typology skills? Possibly. Just wear a suit solves everything. Yeah, I get haircuts and do that sort of interface shit. Boring. I don't like your boring idea, Diamond. Okay? Your idea is boring me with its boringness. It's like, did you take boringness lessons at boringness school or something? Because that's what that sounds like to me. Feel like you're having a come down after yesterday? Like being typed was on drugs, being on drugs. But now you're feeling kind of nauseous and you're like dry heaving. You have a splitting headache. You're like, God, I can't believe what I did last night. And your anus hurts mysteriously. Is that what you mean? That's my normal come down from any kind of high is, shame, regret, and a throbbing anus. It's a good album title. Shame, regret, and a throbbing anus. But that is a funny album title. It's evocative. It wouldn't be a good album title for. I wouldn't title my album that, but it's a pretty good album title. Especially if you put a "my" in there. Shame, regret, and my throbbing anus. It is edgy. It's a little bit edgy. A little blue, a little risque. It's a little NC-17 or MA, as they say sometimes on Netflix. What's the motto for Anal Wreckage Anonymous? We here at Anal Wreckage Anonymous, we no longer stick shit up our ass. Stuff. We no longer put stuff up our butt. Is the official way to put it, but the edgier members of the crew will use curse words. We no longer stick stuff up our butt. That's the motto of Anal Wreckage Anonymous. Just sub in a new adjective for throbbing. No, just sub in a new adjective for throbbing. Cramping? Shame, regret, and my cramping anus. Is it one of the human body's top 3 sphincters? Well, I think there's another sphincter that holds your pee in, right? That's got to make top 3, right? Whether it's your prostate or your woman equivalent, whatever that was, distended. That's yeah. One of the grosser terms that have been made into a band name is discharge. It's right there with seepage. Seepage is not you don't want to hear seepage at your doctor's appointment. You don't want to hear seepage and you don't want to hear discharge. Schmegma is like a silly word, though. Or seepage and discharge are things you'll actually see on a medical chart. Schmegma's a real medical term? Is it? What's it defined as? Mucus of the vagina or something? I tell you what's gross is a yeast infection. Why is there yeast there? Because it really mixes in two things you don't want combined: bread and vaginal infections. Schmegma. Ew. Yeah, I don't want to bake my bread in that oven. That's the thing. Oh, yeah. That makes me want to puke. I didn't see your beaver joke. Let's see. I don't think anybody really ever interpreted you through that frame of reference because we didn't know what type you were. I still don't see your beaver joke. I don't have any foreskin. I lost mine in the war. Back in the first Iraq War, I had shot off by an Iraqi. I had all my foreskin shot cleanly off by an Iraqi in the first Gulf War, and and that's how I got circumcised. No, the truth is, I was circumcised shortly after birth. I don't remember it. I'm sure it was great, but Candida overgrowth plagues a huge percentage of the population. I have no idea what it is. What's Candida? Are you trying to say Canada? Probably not. You're trying to say candid? Candida. Candida. It doesn't seem like a real word. It seems like that's probably a made up word. Let me look it up though. Candida. It's a fungal infection caused by a yeast. Oh, is that the yeast infection that causes yeast infections? That's the yeast that causes yeast infection? Huh. Well, I would say, Raphael, no, because the point is, most operations are done for the purpose of making you better, returning you to your pre-injury or disease state of being, or as functionally close to that as possible. So it's really about the intention of the surgery, not the fact of the surgery. Being an INFJ isn't as fun now. Why isn't being an INFJ fun? It's cleaner to have no foreskin. I've never had one. I've had various people offer to let me borrow theirs before, but I've always turned them down. I said, nah, I don't really need that. I actually do know someone. I've told the story before. Sorry to repeat myself if I'm repeating myself for everybody here, but I know somebody who chose to have themselves circumcised at age, I think, 20, 19 or 20. And that's what he chose to do. So that does happen. I know somebody to whom that happened. That they chose to get circumcised as an adult. He was an ENFJ, which I think is consistent with them not caring about like SI shit, right? Yeah, like Jordan Peterson getting to put into a medically induced coma to quit benzos. What? Nuts. Talk about not understanding the value of SI. Well, my body, I get treated like a car. There's a stigma against foreskin. Like, ew, foreskin. Like that. That's what I'd say if somebody shoved a foreskinned penis in my face. I'd say, ew, foreskin. Get that foreskin out of here, mister. It's a little late now. Plus, I think I pissed off this guy or something. I don't think anybody was saying right now. I don't know over 5. I wasn't saying right now, that's for sure. It's a cute skin blanket. Oh, well. I mean, see, the joke there was if somebody's putting their penis in my face, why would this foreskin be the problem? See, that's the hilarious joke. Am I perfectly pleased with what's happening except for the foreskin? That's where the hilarity comes from. If you're looking for its origins. It was 23 to 30 years ago when I was totally down with having foreskins all over me all the time. Ever since then, I just got sick of it. I was just like, I'm done. I've had enough foreskin now. That's what I think too. I know it's not a good argument. I know it's not a good argument. It doesn't justify anything. But my position on it is, if I had a son, I would say I wanted him circumcised. And my reason would be, well, the son should match the father. Right? Even though that's not a good reason. If I were pressed, I'd probably come up with some reason like, I don't think foreskins are popular with ladies necessarily. How does it feel being out of my nest? I'm in my nest right now. Horse Mumbler is Lauren Cuthbert saying she's got an unfair feel? What does that mean? I mean, the thing is, the reason why it's not, look, see, normally, the reason it's a little weird is this. Normally, with an SI frame, it's kind of like, look, I had to go through this awful experience too. And it was awful, but it's worth it in the long run. I can tell you share my experience with doing this. Circumcision is different because nobody remembers being circumcised. That's the difference. So it's like the normal SI justification is, I can assure you that the experience is worth the payoff, even though the experience is uncomfortable. Without the actual assurance about the experience, it's just a meaningless claim. But I acknowledge that. I'm not saying it justifies anything. I don't think it's evil. I think it's because as I said, I've yet to experience anybody who tells me, man, being circumcised was so awful for me. I hated it. Nobody remembers it, you know? Some ENFJs would say they do remember, but it's a repressed trauma or something. Yeah. Bullshit is what I say. Foreskin's a natural moisturizer. Schmegma might be. Ew. I'm not opposed to it or anything. I got no problem with it. I don't like penises in general, whether they've got foreskin or not. Okay, well, but it's not for the sake of my own popularity. Um, it's like, is it is it therefore bad to let your kid get their ears pierced, or is it because it's their choice and it's fine? A lot of Mexicans pierce their girls' ears when they're babies. Oliver Linehan, I don't think that's true. I think the ENFJs that you find cringy and worse than ESFPs are actually ESFPs. I know, exactly. Let's chill on the foreskin. Nobody's foreskinning anybody. Warren Cuthbert, it's questionable because he didn't go on camera. I don't know if that was specified or not. Whether you had to be on camera. I think that if I were Leaf Termer's lawyer, I'd argue that when he said get typed, he meant get typed on camera, and that didn't occur. And that you should just be glad he's not trying to collect $5 from you. Well, no, because well, I mean, I understand your point, Horsman. That's why I said at the beginning of this, I don't have a good logical justification for it. I acknowledge that. I didn't have a son, so I didn't have to make the decision. So it's all moot regardless. I had a daughter, and there's no cutting of anything with daughters. So I would tend to agree with you that there's no ground to stand on. The thing is, my position on it is ultimately that it's a very minor moral issue compared to most moral questions one might encounter in life. I see some differences between Rachel. You see some differences between Rachel and me. Okay. The object of the preposition, you need to use the objective case. I am an English teacher, Lauren Cuthbert. Okay. That language that came from your island. Well, I mean, I don't think Sean's an ENFJ. ESFPs can fool me for a little while sometimes at first, especially if they're sort of prepped out to fool me. But they can't sustain it indefinitely. Did I first type Rachel's ENFJ? Yes, I did. I first typed her as ENFJ and then realized over time she was function-wise, she's clearly an INFJ. She's a knower. She is FE tool user and has SI 8th and SE 4th. So that makes her an INFJ. She does act more extroverted than a lot of INFJs do. I think it comes from growing up in a Long Island Italian family where they all yell at each other all the time. I mean, they're not yelling at each other like angrily. It's just how they talk. They kind of like, I've been involved in their family Zooms, and they're all like, Anthony, let me some more watermelon over here. There's always that shit, you know. They're all talking at the same time. It's not surprising that she's a little more loud just to be heard at all in her larger extended family. You gotta have some seize the podium in you, you know. It's a funny family. It's really strange for me as a Californian to interact with these people who are I typically think of just as characters from TV shows, you know. Because in TV shows, Italians from New York are like the ones in her family. They talk like them, and you know, they have the same kind of gestures and everything. And it's kind of funny because, you know, you sort of think, well, that's probably just on TV. They probably don't really act like that. They totally do. No, I tested. I don't think your TI is good. I think it's third or fourth slot. You know, like I said, if you're not third slot, your TI is 3, 4, 6, or 8, based on my TI results. You're definitely not 1 or 2. You seemed like an FE user in your pattern of conversation with me, which is to say, you were pretty careful to not to be yielding in terms of space, vocal space, that kind of attentiveness to that thing. Like if we start talking at almost the same time, but you start talking first and I start talking second, you'll stop and let me proceed. That's very FE tool, but it could also be somewhat influenced by the circumstances. Long Island is part of New York, yeah. And the funny thing is, number one, even though it's a borough, it's actually an island. So you are on Long Island, literally on Long Island, the island, but you are in the borough of Long Island. Isn't that interesting? It's funny because some people think I'm Canadian. Are you Canadian? Or do you sound Canadian? Do you say A? And you want to go get some maple syrup today, eh? Let's go down out to the maple syrup farm there. Or you're from Long Island? So you don't really talk like a Canadian? That's how Canadians talk. That's my Canadian accent. Underneath my hands. Well, they still talk a little bit like this, you know. A little bit more like this than we do down here in the States. Depends where in Canada you go. Mm-hmm. I used to work at a strip club, a topless bar. It was just topless. It wasn't all naked, you know. And the guys kept complaining that Number one, I was a dude. Number two, I had really small boobs. So they fired me after just 15 minutes of work. Yeah, it was back when I worked at the topless bar. I successfully talked to well, Horse Mumbler, I haven't talked to him 20 plus hours. I haven't seen good TI in his argumentation. So, I mean, I definitely haven't screwed the pooch if you're basing your conclusions on a lot more experiential data than me. Then possibly my conclusion's wrong, but that doesn't mean my conclusion making process is poor. Yeah, NFJs are very disorganized. I'm well, I don't know if I'm more organized exactly, but I'm tidier than Rachel. I don't like to spend a lot of time talking about my days as a topless dancer since they only lasted for 15 minutes. But I will say I'm very proud of my ability to talk my way into getting hired as a topless dancer, given that I didn't meet any of the criteria. I didn't even get a single dollar tucked into my boxers. Not even $1. One dude tried to tuck a quarter in there, and I said, no, fuck it, no. I don't even want that quarter. I don't want your filthy money. I deserve at least $1. Yeah, always taking a shirt off could be a SE Dom thing, could be a SE third thing, I think. Okay. Well, I mean, I could have tested your expert intuition more, but like I said, in the amount of time that I tested you, that's the conclusion I drew. That doesn't necessarily mean it's absolutely correct. The fact that you it doesn't resonate with you and you're pushing against it is suggestive that you might not be an INFJ, because that's not a typically INFJ response to being typed as INFJ. I mean, if he's an FE Dom, it makes me wonder about the inherent effectiveness of an FE Dom at FE. I don't find his expert feeling to be very effective. So I'm not sure what to make of that. And one way or the other, we've got a problem. So if you're going to insist he is an ENFJ, you're going to have to explain the bad FE. And And I haven't seen any indication of good TI. I haven't seen responses that were TI responsive from me before. Not usually. I can't think of any examples. So, I mean, if your point is that you have a lot more data than I do, well, okay, but I mean, I don't think either of us I don't think any FE aware person is going to say he's particularly effective in his FE. You know, I don't think you'd make that claim, would you? Do you have an explanation for why that is? Well, I mean, I have examples of ENFJs that I've known before who I guess, you know, hit me very differently. Like Parker, Kimberly's sort of other son, definitely an ENFJ, and hit me as a nicer version of another definite ENFJ, Nick. You know, Zandy, I'm not entirely sure about because I haven't really fully tested her or anything. She very well could be an INFJ. Do I get a lot of ESFPs that hang around my channel? Well, there's probably a few of them that comprise these bite monkeys who come in periodically. And they can be remarkably persistent about their spite. You know, they can keep it up for a long period of time. But I don't have a lot of them because yeah. Sure. Most of the time, I don't have any pushback on it. When I do have pushback on it, it's generally from an ESFP or, well, like if ISTJs are going to push back. They don't want to be ISTJs. I have one other person who reminds me of you, who's also British, who I typed as INFJ, who thought she was ENFP coming in and thought she was ENFP going out, despite me typing her INFJ. She reminds me of you in a lot of ways. And her arguments were basically she's much too creatively active to be INFJ. So, in my opinion, in that instance and in this one, well, he seems like a smarter version of Cloud to me. You know, like the FE seems very sixth slot. Like Cloud's constantly trying to tell people how to perceive him. I get that same kind of vibe from Sean, except he's smarter about it. But it still seems like not intuitive enough, I guess. I mean, I typically feel this way with ENFJs to some extent, but I feel too much like I'm out in front of him. FE wise, FENI wise. I don't know. The point is, I'm not making. I've made the claim that I think he's probably ESFP, not ENFJ. If I said it more strongly than that, I regret saying it more strongly than that. That's still my position, based on the information I have and the data that I've dealt with. But I could be wrong. He could be ENFJ. He could be an ENFJ who's carrying particularist factors into his expression of FE that render it a different sort of flavor, or it could be an Enneagram thing possibly, or I don't know. Well, I mean, that would make sense. That's what I would typically attribute to ENFJs, but you could also potentially imagine a good ESFP, a smart ESFP pulling off as well, right? Which is they have some canned bits of TI they can throw at you to influence your typing of them, rather than actually using the intentional manner in the moment. I mean, I don't believe in leaners or jumpers or anything. He's one or the other. Now, the thing is, he's a somewhat atypical either one. So, I mean, he does seem to do a lot more self-aggrandizing than you'd expect from an FE dom. It's much more what I associate with an ESFP. I mean, people could accuse me of being self-aggrandizing, but it's much less frequent than Sean, I think, So I'm not sure. Knowing that you feel as though his TI is better than polar is the only thing that makes me really feel like a genuine questioning of my own judgment on the thing. It just sort of the general vibe and my experience dealing with him, I figured TI polar. I have noted him on a couple of occasions concede things, but I've attributed that to I guess authority. Yeah, I know I don't want to know about it. No, he started to tell me a little bit about it one time and I stopped him immediately. I do not want to hear about that sad shit, And I'm not trying to critique him. He's not doing anything morally bad by being self-aggrandizing. I'm saying it's not, it doesn't necessarily work on an FE level, It's not a successful strategy to convey that information to other people and have them believe it. No, sign dog. Thanks, Winston's mom. Thanks, Octavia Silva. You're a couple of special ladies. I'm not trying to talk shit about the guy. You know, I'm doing the subject comes up, and I give my opinion about the matter, and I give my reasons as to why. And that's it. You know. You hope you didn't piss me off with your comeback. No, you didn't piss me off at all. Are you talking to me? What comeback was it? I mean, your disagreement or whatever? It's fine. You can disagree. I don't care. Can we do a group live stream? I don't normally do group live streams. If you want to, talk about something specific, you can come on and talk to me. If you want. If you've got specific questions, points, things you want to say, or whatever, that's fine. More than 2 people is difficult for me to manage. It's more interface and less action, deliberation. Yeah, I don't wish ill on Sean or think badly of him or anything. I find him a typological challenge. Okay, what was I about to do? Oh yeah. Lauren Cuthbert, day and night is Lauren Cuthbert, everything is Lauren Cuthbert, and then Lauren Cuthbert. However this song goes. You know the song, that famous song. Well, like I said, I'm not trying to do that, and I mean, it's kind of like, it sounds like you have a horse in the race here, you know? I don't know if that's influencing your perspective at all or not, but I generally don't apologize if I don't think I did anything wrong. It could be argued that I was hasty, but it didn't feel hasty to me. I sort of bit my tongue on it for quite some time. I also listen to this stream as a podcast all this while. This chat room, though, mamma mia. Well, I don't think it's absurd. It's just not something I'm gonna do. But that's primarily because I try to apply a policy. I actually have sort of a formal policy that I try to apply with most people, but not with Rachel. But with other people, that I only apologize if I've done something wrong. I'll do FE apologizing with Rachel because it just sort of, we do a lot of FE with each other, you know. But by and large, I have a policy that I don't apologize unless I've done something wrong, and I do apologize when I've done something wrong. So my apologies are, bye, Lauren. You didn't want to come into the room. I put the link. I guess nobody wants to come in. Oh well. So I will leave. That room. So I did leave that room. Incorrigible kitten. What about you is incorrigible? Is it your tendency to steal candy bars from the liquor store? Well, I mean, that's yet to be established. Okay, I'll open it up again. I don't think that's been adequately established. You're welcome to come in and make the case if you want. My voice is scratchy. What was the one word he added? Poo? Is it poo? It is. GameStop. Funny, my daughter came over and told me how she bought AMC at $10 or something. And that's good because she got in at the beginning of the AMC thing. She's already lost like $3. Picking GameStop, it's like $280 or something. She knew all about it. I know. Talk about a pyramid scheme. It's like, do they not get that the problem with GameStop is that they're trying to sell something that's going all digital in a storefront, like Blockbuster Video or something, right? Now what's GameStop going to do? You just click the link. It's going to make you knock, and then I'll let you in. Oh, that's how you're incorrigible, is by being scratchy. I see. Anybody see that the Robinhood app is 40% owned by the firm that got whacked? What's the Robinhood app? No, I wasn't planning on. I wasn't planning on typing anybody right now. But if we want to come in and talk about something specific, come in and talk. But that's fine. Okay, well, I guess I've got no takers, so I turned off those trades and sold everyone's shares without consent. I don't think Horace Farmer did anything wrong here. If that's an issue, if that's what's being debated, I think he was fine in his critique. I don't agree with it, but Robinhood. Internet giant Google removed over 120,000 negative Robinhood reviews, citing violations related to rating manipulation, the firm reportedly said. Hi, horse mumbler. How are you?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Cool.
I can hear you as clear as a new spring day.
Grand.
So how you doing? Been a while since I've spoken with you.
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Could be better.
Are you imagineering?
Hang on a moment. I just gotta mess with some stuff. I wish I could. Okay, I can't seem to hear you through Whereby, only through the stream, and that's on a significant delay.
Okay,
Are you
here.
sure you've got your mic on in Whereby?
Is this better?
I think so. Say again?
Is this better right here?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I had a mic on from whereby, but I guess it wasn't working well.
Okay, we are good to go. Oh, just give me a minute. I gotta drink some water. I am parched.
Sure. I'm familiar, Winston's mom, with Horse Mumbler's copper workings. I've been to his house before. I've gone to his house and hung out with him before. So that makes me pretty special. Is that too self-aggrandizing? I don't know. Or is that just Horse Mumbler aggrandizing? Horse Mumbler has a cute cat. Is that true, Horse Mumbler?
I have two very cute cats. One sadly is missing, and that's got me.
How long has your cat been missing? I'm sorry to hear that. Well, everyone thinks their cat's cute, but my cat's actually very attractive. Like, here's the thing. John told me to say the first are turning gay. Horse Mumbler has disappeared. I don't know what happened to him.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello? I'm still here.
Oh, you are still there. Yeah, I can hear you. I thought you were not there because I said something to you and I didn't respond to it. I don't remember what I said to you, but it was really important, I'm sure. Up here, the chorus. Oh, you say that all frogs are turning gay. That part? I see. So, you think Sean's TI is better than Polar, huh?
Yeah, pretty sure. Quite sure, in fact.
I mean, is it just because you can get him to agree with you?
No, not. not just because or even because. It is stronger than polar, or I have concluded that it is stronger than polar in part because he will use it unsolicited and doesn't need to be led step by painstaking step and then perhaps not even be able to follow like a polar. Once I can knock him off the FE and NI and say, okay, just stop, just listen to the TI, stop with the FE, stop with the NI, stop with the TE, just wait and listen and follow. Once I can get him to stop doing the rest, then he's with me, and then it's not, and then we can make actual progress and come to actual meaningful conclusions. He'll do, he can do it. He just needs to be dissuaded from doing the other stuff.
Huh. Well, I mean, my inclination is to trust your judgment regarding the TI. So maybe I'm wrong about his type. If I am wrong about his type, and I go back to the conclusion that he's an ENFJ, if I do make that determination, at that point, it would be, I think, justified for me to say, I'm sorry, I incorrectly concluded you were ESFP. But if I don't change my opinion back, then I don't think it's appropriate.
Well, of course, if you don't change your opinion, you shouldn't. But if you do, then
right. Well, yeah. If I change it back to ENFJ, then yeah, right. That's fair.
It would be an impact. It would be a very impactful apology, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm still trying to decide though what I think about the matter. Winston's mom asked an interesting question. Would you rather spend the entire day with Alex Jones or Bill Walton? She's asking it of me, but I think it's an interesting question in general. The answer is probably Bill Walton would be doing cooler stuff. Kyuk says the answer would be Alex Jones because he seems like a fun guy. Alex Jones seems like a fun guy. Really? He seems like a nutcase to me. It's like, do I want to deal with that kind of nutty, unsubstantiated NI stuff all day long? I'd rather deal with NI polar, NE third, Bill Walton all day long. I mean, Alex Jones and I would clash continually, I would say. But Alex, what you just said is not substantiated adequately. And he'd meow, 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 you know? Or at least with Bill Walton, I'd be saying things like, Bill, I don't care about your fucking story about whatever. That's much different. You know, it's like Alex Jones and I have more of a fundamental disagreement about things because Bill Walton's just an insufferable bore, whereas Alex Jones is just utterly wrong about everything.
Can you still hear me, by the way? I think my mic's cut now.
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah, Jones goes to all sorts of interesting corners of crazy town, but it would be fun to go at it with him, especially for you, I'm sure, because there would be lots of really good ammo ready at hand. Because nuts as he often is, he's got really good people working for him. His stuff is really well, or rather, he's got really good research that he flies to crazy conclusions from. So that there's, and that's why that's a big part of why people, there are a fair few people who follow him and credit him, and some of whom aren't down with his leaps, but will put up with it, because he works with and figureheads an organization that does do solid research.
He's down with logical OPP. You know me, I'm not down with logical OPP. What are logical OPP? Other people's propositions. No, not really. It means actually other people's. PUSSY. That's what it means. And I don't really know if Alex Jones is down with OPP or not. I know I'm not down with OPP. You know me. I'm sure he's not completely wrong about everything he says in history of him saying things. I know from experience of seeing some of his videos before that he consistently takes the same approach, which is he cherry picks specific pieces of data to make the case that this intuitively derived holistic vision of things is correct without considering contrary pieces of evidence or looking for contrary pieces of evidence even. Or even, acknowledging them. He's not interested in finding out what's correct. He's interested in making his case that his intuition is correct. So it's annoying. I don't think Alex Jones is an ESTP. No way. He's got to be an ENFJ or something. ESFP, ENFJ, one of those two maybe. I want to acknowledge Elijah's excellent remark that you made earlier, which was that that was funny, which was I feel like Alex Jones just gets everything covered in spit. There's a snappy one there, Elijah. It's good stuff. Isn't Alex Jones's whole shtick just to scam people who have no TI to get them to buy supplements and his merch? He sells a lot of his merch, I think. Well, KD, that's probably when I first encountered him and found him lacking was I was very upset by the by George W. Bush's presidency. It made me very mad, and at some point I probably encountered him during my phase when I was mad about that. And of course, even when I had a clear position on the thing, I was more mad about the fact that this person was not doing the work properly. So, it's just like, well, of course people are going to. I don't want you associated with anything that's correct, because most of the things, even if you're correct, you're not correct for the right reasons. So we shouldn't listen to you. I mean, Jen Axio's got a point, right? It's not harmless, not just harmless profiteering. even if you don't care about the fact that the stuff he's selling isn't worth anything, he has done damage to. He's taking advantage of a weakness in cognition. It's difficult to get a lot of attention. Somebody being reasonable, it seems like. And I'm somebody who does periodically yell and rant, quote unquote, or do something that sounds like it's ranting. The problem is I'm never actually ranting. Like almost never saying stuff that doesn't make perfectly good sense, even if I'm upset when I'm saying it or whatever. So I've discovered that being very rational and giving good rational responses to things is not a good way to get a lot of attention. For example, I know I can't watch, say, video by, what's that guy's name? Ben Basserlin, who's an INTP, because it's just too much TI. It's just like, it's boring as hell for me. But I would like to think that I'm somewhat uniquely reasonable and correct voice of regular publishing. What type is Ben Shapiro? I get asked this all the time. He's either ESTJ or ENTP. Yeah, I think he's an ENTP. I watched a video where he sort of you saw more in his personal life. He seemed more like an ENTP. But even though at the moment I felt rather confident he was an ENTP, in the abstract, kind of after the fact, I'm not really sure. But when I saw him interacting with his family, I was like, oh, he's an ENTP for sure. The problem is he's an ENTP who has walked down a certain path and now really can't backpedal from it, which is he's a partisan, and he's clearly positioned himself on the right and he can't really backpedal from that. So it serves him well, but I think I think he feels kind of depressed that he's not really serving the country well. I think he's coming to understand that to some extent, General Patton said that if everyone isn't thinking alike, then someone isn't thinking. Okay, Kim Jong-un. It's his effective, it's way of being effective. I mean, it's a debate character. He learned to play in debate. He clearly has a substantial amount of competition debate experience. I'm not confusing the media's opinion with the majority's opinion when I talk about Alex Jones. I'm just saying my experience with Alex Jones is that he's not doing his job correctly. In other words, he's not coming to conclusions in the correct way. He's not justifying them in the correct way, and he's not doing any service to public discourse that's good. Well, Gen X Seal. I got my URL, Eric Strauss for President .org. I think I made it. And I'm going to be rolling out early stages of a campaign in February. I hope to be able to bridge that gap to the extent that I can. And the thing is, it's challenging for me in the same way that it's challenging for everybody to break out of my own frame of reference and remember to prioritize other considerations. And that can be frustrating for people. Like, it helps to be able to categorize those sort of things. So like earlier, Horace Rumble and I were saying, should I apologize to Sean for jumping to the conclusion that he's an ESFP? And if you evaluate this question, there are a number of things to evaluate. First, I'm on the same page with him that there are certain circumstances where I should apologize if that is in fact the case, that I've jumped to a conclusion. Bye, Light Joe. Thanks for being here. Always a pleasure. If in fact I did jump to that conclusion too fast, I'm subject to critique on that ground because of all the things I say about reasoning, justifications, etc. I'm unavoidably subject to that critique. So if I'm in fact guilty of it, then I can see how further arguments play out easily enough without them having to be explicitly made. It's that, well, then you have to factor in the impact of your making that public statement on this person without adequate justification, take sort of a journalistic approach to it. And if in fact, I will necessarily sometimes mistype people, but if I mistype them, then the decision to clarify that I've mistyped them and I actually think they're meow now needs to be one undertaken very carefully, because I never want to, and I don't think I really ever have before, gone meow, meow, meow. I've gone meow, meow plenty of times. I mistype people first and I eventually determine, no, you're an introvert, not an extrovert, or something like that. But as far as I can remember, I don't think I've ever gone, within the last year and a half, 2 years, where I've gotten more regular at my typing approach and everything. And I don't think I've ever gone meow, meow, meow. When I mistyped Rachel, it took me living with her for a full month before I decided to just say, okay, I have enough data. I've concluded for sure. I'm going to say it now. I know I'm not going to go back and change my mind. I was more careless than that in dealing with Sean. That's not fair, even though it's understandable given that one person is my girlfriend and the other is not. No, I don't really plan on typing anybody right now. Let me check my calendar. I might have something on the schedule. No, I don't have anything on the schedule for today. I have something on Sunday scheduled and Monday, but nothing until then. I'm not that busy, I'm not that good about promoting it or responding to emails or things like that, What type is most impactful when they compliment or praise me? That's a tough one. Maybe INTJ. INFJ. It's like, would I ever do video lessons on Enneagram? First of all, let me just say I'm so sorry to hear you're just having a lot of cheese. But I think yeah, sure. Maybe I'll do a video that says how to do the Enneagram test, quick Enneagram test. I think I made that video before, but you were so sad when you put that on your Tinder profile and no one got the reference. What kind of bird are you? I don't get the reference. Well, so probably the most valued praise I've gotten historically has been from Corey. Corey was hard to get praise from about things that we would talk about, like creative stuff. But I was less deserving of praise then than I am now. I wasn't making as good art. Rachel is very encouraging, and I've learned to read the varying qualities of her encouragement as actual praise versus encouragement pretty clearly. We do a lot of FE dances, to take away a coolest word here. So it's the thing is, I believe it to be the case that Rachel's genuinely impressed by me and is also not competitive with me at all. Corey was there was a competitive aspect there, and it went both ways kind of, but I felt competitive just in the sense that not so much competitive as comparatively inadequate. No, it was different than that, Leaf Drummer. It was two people being objective about something that was unfortunate, But on those occasions when I was fully successful, there were a couple of live performances where my performance was just like ultra compelling, and in those instances, he was genuine and effusive with his praise. And it's just hard to achieve a high enough standard. So, but I've gotten a lot better since then, and I think that Rachel is genuinely likes and is impressed by my work. One of the things that she did well before we got together for a long time was she was always commenting on my music, my songs. And I noted that. I appreciated that there was this person named Rachel Apollosa who seemed to like my music, seemed to genuinely like it. And I wouldn't say it was a factor in us going out, but it turned out to be a significant benefit. Like, it's a lot different than my last relationship where my ex-girlfriend really shit on my music a lot, which helped, frankly. It helped me get a lot better. So it wasn't a bad thing, but what I didn't like was that she shit on it as an undertaking rather than as well as in the individual instances of it. So it's like she fundamentally saw it as me screwing around rather than me doing anything worthwhile. And that bothered me. It was like, you're really invalidating who I am at that point. I don't want you to like my music if you don't like it, but I want you to respect the fact that I take it seriously, you know? If you're my relationship partner. So yeah, that's tough, huh, Lauren? It's tough. I wouldn't say Kimberly was that bad about it, joking about it sarcastically, but she certainly didn't. I didn't think it was worth me spending time on. One of the stranger events in the relationship was when I wrote this love song for her called Dying Day. It's on my dying day, which the lyrics of which are you come outside, your arms are folded, I'm getting scolded for playing again. I want to be as much as I can, man, that you want me to be, or something like that. You know, the thing is, sure enough, when she came out in the morning after I stayed up all night making this thing, she was, sure, I'll play it. She was mad at me for staying up all night. Just seized the opportunity to be mad, you know? But then over a couple of days, her perspective changed as woman after woman after woman said to her, "Oh my God, you must have been so, like, you know, whatever girls say." And it really bothered her ultimately that she had already sort of committed to this negative response, couldn't sort of back away from it. And she really had trouble admitting she was wrong about anything, you know. You come outside, your arms are folded, I'm getting scolded for playing again. I want to achieve as much as I can in terms of a man you want me to be. I got to do what I gotta do. I'll include you in everything that I can. 'Cause I'm your man, and you're my girl. I mean my woman in the world. You are the one I will be with till my dying day. I want your belief. You want my attention. I've got an invention going again. I want to be as much as I can in terms of the man you want me to be. So Kimberly, please don't be mad at me. Though I made this song, 'cause I'm your man, and you're my girl. I mean my woman in the world. You are the one I will be with till my dying day. 'Cause I'm your man, and you're my girl. I mean my woman in the world. You are the one I will be with till my dying day. I don't think you're ever going to get there by just adding more woes, Oliver. You're never going to avoid the men just by adding more woes. You're going to have to replace the men with person, and you have to replace the son with child. And that makes the proper term Woper children. They're not women, okay? They're Woper children.
Good song, by the way, Eric.
Thanks, Horse Mumbler. I appreciate it.
That's got to be one of the saddest love songs I've ever heard.
It's pretty sad.
Yeah.
She also inspired the song where it's about we had an awful fight. The thing is prompting so much emotional from me did on a couple of occasions successfully caused me to write some good stuff, I think, which is kind of nice. Thank you, Lauren Cuthbert, for saying so.
And so, in such a nice contrast, it really has been gratifying seeing you and Rachel together as a contrast and object lesson in what it looks like when two people are trying so fucking hard and just not able. I mean, because I could tell you were trying with Kim, and I could tell Kim was trying with you.
Yeah, that's what makes it sad. She was trying. It was hard for me to tell a lot of times because her trying didn't produce very good results. But that's what makes the whole thing sad is she was actually trying.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to relate a little something. I was in the raw room with her and Susie one night, and they were talking about your relationship, and it was heartbreaking to listen to. Because she really wanted to do better, and she was talking to Susie. She was saying how she wanted and was trying, and she said specifically, I remember quite clearly, she said that she wanted to say positive things to you. She wanted to say something nice to you. She wanted to, and she said she just couldn't. She said, I tried and I just can't. She talked about, like she was paralyzed, like she was thinking, trying to come up with something good she could say and just not arriving at anything.
It's got to be a weird phenomenon, right? I mean,
yeah.
But
just no fundamental compatibility there.
Yeah, there is. And I think that the most significant factor was whether it's just a descriptive taxonomy or not, is that she was basically a self-preserver, which is she thought that being in a relationship, in a healthy relationship, meant maintaining a healthy distance. And I think that she learned some of that from like psychiatrists who said, okay, you're getting too attached to these people, you need to maintain a better distance and stuff. She kind of conflated it about the relation into how you should deal with a relationship. Yeah, it was a very public, sad train wreck of a weird thing, Well, yeah, I think she had kind of internalized teasing banter as an identity, and right off the bat, I explained to her, I don't like teasing. I don't want to be teased, and I'm not going to tease you, and don't tease me. It's like it's not how shit ever rolled in my family. I also called out my ex-wife's family on that shit. My ex-wife didn't do it with me, but her family did it, and she did it with her family members, and I didn't like it. I thought they played too rough with each other, basically. Because Eric is sensitive. Yes, because Eric is sensitive. Exactly. I am sensitive. And that makes me sometimes an incredible asshole. I can be incredibly dickish and good at like successfully controlling the frame because I'm sensitive. I don't like to feel bad. And if something makes me feel bad, then I'm concluding that someone's doing something wrong here and need my foot up their ass. I only ever saw one clip of me and Kimberly, and it was one where she teased me and I was visibly uncomfortable, says Octavia. So I'm sure I was visibly uncomfortable. I don't like being teased by a significant other. The thing is, it's important to note that I don't mind people attempting to tease me in this context. This is me being a public figure and coming on here and pontificating, and of course I'm going to be challenged. But in a relationship, I treat my you gotta be really careful when docking your penis, by the way. Remember, there are no brakes on a penis when you're docking it. You gotta go in there at the right speed. Yeah, I'm specifically talking about how family members treat each other. And I think that my significant other is a family member and that family members are supportive. It's somewhat about not really having TI as an absolute value as well. It's like what's more important to me is that we're behaving appropriately for our role as mutual family members, you know? So well, I mean, the thing is, Lauren Cuthbert, yes, you feel picked at. Yes, it's just sadistic after a point. But significantly, it's also, most people who are in a relationship with a BBD person get pretty thoroughly gaslighted by that person. It's a difficult relationship in which the other party makes you question your own sanity and question reality very much because they're so good at putting the blame on you and figuring out how to hamstring you. So the thing is, a lot of people get very gaslit during the process of being in a relationship. I was very fortunate. Well, I mean, they are very messed up. It stems from childhood abuse. It stems from childhood abuse. So they are that way because BPD is called "I Hate You, Don't Leave Me" because they don't have faith that the most important relationships in their life are going to be there when they need them. They're sure that you're going to betray them as everybody has before, and it's like I say, the prime directive is having your map and territory match up. If you're that committed to that map, you're going to make the territory match up with it. Sure enough, I broke up with Kimberly. Well, why? Well, because she literally gave me no choice. One day I asked her, I said, "Are you ever going to speak to me respectfully or, listen to what I have to say?" And she said, "No, I never will speak to you with any respect." I said, "Okay, well." At first I was furious because she had a unique ability to make me furious. Like I told her early on in the relationship, nobody has ever been able to make me as mad as you make me. And it was true then, and it was true at the end of the relationship. She had a unique ability to make me absolutely infuriated. That's probably what was done to her as a kid, Octavio. So it's like, that last day, she said that my first thought was like, how can I get back at her? What can I do to make her suffer too? And then I just said, okay, if you're thinking like that, you've got to get out of this relationship. You have to leave. If that's where you're at now, where you're in this back and forth thing where are you trying to hurt the other person to get back at them for shit? There's no possible way that can be a sustainable relationship. So, here I am thinking like, what can I do? Fuck up her car or whoa, Eric, what are you doing? Okay, you've got to get out of this relationship. That's what you do. You leave. No, I didn't do anything stupid like that. I just left. But I had to get to that spot where I was no longer felt like I was safe. Like, in the sense that I couldn't trust myself. How can you help someone who repeatedly returns to an abusive relationship? I mean, I don't know. Presumably, you've already told them to leave and stay left. So I guess, next time they call you, you go, well, did you appeal the copyright strike, Gen Xio? What was it about? If it was really bullshit, appeal it. Because I've won almost every single appeal I've made. However, copyright's probably a little bit more challenging to appeal. What were you copyrighted for? What was the material you used? Okay. Well, I think I'm going to play a song or two and call it a stream. Unless there's anything Unless you were clearing your throat because you have something to say, rather than just clearing your throat. If you have something particularly you'd like to voice about whatever, go for it.
Well, I had a thought in the vein of relationship, particularly you and Rachel. I good voice, but I was just then that I didn't get around to. But just then, when I cleared my throat, I was going to suggest that we plan a discussion together, a meeting here and whereby a talk, maybe a stream, maybe video, something.
Plan to plan. I like that.
Yeah, I say plan to plan because neither of us wants to set a date now. And both of us are, it's late. I'm kind of tired and hungry. If you want to play songs and call it a night, this is not a good time for us to get into anything, and we're both engrossed in chat anyway. So, that's my suggestion: to plan.
All right, let's do that. Let's plan to plan.
Sound good?
Sounds good. All right, I'm gonna exit the whereby room now. Okay. All right. Good night, Horse Mumbler.
I don't think I've. All right. Good night, Eric.
Nice chatting with you too, Horse Mumbler. Sorry to cut you off there abruptly. Some folks call me a rambling man, and I do a lot of thumbing and the kicking cans, and wouldn't do an answer good to call me names. Daddy's name wasn't Willie Woodrow. I wasn't born and raised in no ghetto, just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I'd like to find me a wealthy woman in the line of work that don't take no diploma. I ain't got much to lose but loud to gain. Well, some might call me a good time fella, cause I ain't no black and I ain't no yellow. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. Yeah, I don't want no handout, living no want any part of anything they're giving. I'm proud of mine and I've got a song to sing. If you want to get ahead, you gotta hump and get it. From the top, you're ready to do a better job. Some folk call me a rambling man, cause I do a lot of thumbing and the kicking cans, and it wouldn't do an ounce good to call me names. Cause daddy's name wasn't Willie Woodrow. I wasn't born and raised in no ghetto, just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I might find me a wealthy woman in a line of work that don't take no diploma. I ain't got much to lose but loud to gain. Some might call me a good time fella. I ain't no black and I ain't no yellow, just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. Yeah, I don't want no handout living, don't want any part of anything they're giving. I'm proud of mine and I've got a song to sing. Well, I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get ahead, you gotta hump and get it. I'm a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. Yeah, I'm a small town boy, been around a little, and I like guitars and I like the fiddle, and that's the kind of soul that's in my playing. I'm a blue-eyed Billy, kind of feared and ready, but I gotta work to be somebody. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I don't want no handout living, don't want any part of anything they're giving. Cause I'm proud of mine, I've got a song to sing. I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get ahead, you gotta hump and get it. I'm a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. That's like my favorite cover right now, at the moment anyway. It plays so coverliciously. Obviously, I don't ascribe to the racial messages, but yeah. What's the matter with the clothes I'm wearing? Can't you tell that your tie's too wide? Maybe I should buy some old tab colors. Welcome back to the edge of jive. Where have you been hiding out lately, honey? You can't flush trash until you spend a lot of money. Everybody's talking about the new sound funny, cause it's still rock and roll to me. What's the matter with the car I'm driving? Can't you tell that it's out of style? Should I get a set of white ball tires? Are you gonna do some miracle mile? Nowadays you can't be too sentimental. The best bet's true, baby, blue continental. Hot funk, cool punk, even if it's old junk, it's still rock and roll to me. It doesn't matter what they say in the papers, cause it's always been the same old scene. There's a new band in town and you can't get the sound from a story magazine. Ain't that your average routine? Well, scrolling down. How about a pair of pink sidewinders and a bright orange pair of pants? You could really be a bull bubble, baby, if you just give it half a chance. You'll make money on a new set of speakers, get more mileage from a cheap pair of sneakers. Next phase, new wave, dance craze, anyways, it's still rock and roll to me. What's the matter with the crowd I'm seeing? Don't you know that they're out of touch? Or should I try to be a straight A student? If you are, then you think too much. Don't you know about the new fashion, honey? All you need are looks and a whole lot of money. It's the next phase, new wave, dance crazy. Anyway, still rock and roll. Everybody's talking about the new sound funny, but it's still rock and roll to me. C9. What is C9? Oh. Yeah, it ends on that chord. Like that, okay? Not that other thing I was playing. That was wrong. Now I'm going to play an original song. Every life lived reaches a time when the road splits in two. Dark times of despair, times when it's hard to feel good. That's when I look for my tactful solvency and that satchel of helpful goods. Satchel of helpful goods. Satchel of helpful goods. Satchel of helpful goods. Every life lived reaches a time when the road reaches an end. When I'm there, will there be anyone else around? Or will I travel all alone? That's when I look for a sack full of solvency and a satchel filled up with bone. Yeah, that satchel of nothing but home. Satchel of helpful goods. 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 And that was a satchel of helpful goods. A wonderful, a wonderful. No good confiscating on with them whom you'd mistaken for the one. Habituated defense and decency, self-inflicted eventually once your search is done. Driving in the car last night, we had a massive fight. Each insisting we were right and the other one to blame. So when you pulled that stunt, I screamed something awfully blunt. My words, it's wrong, cause they were dumb. I've earned my share of shame. It's each of our own failings, not us doing the nailing to the wall. Fear so the others taking off to reset their life and all. You can trust me, I can trust you though. Not to trust yourself, much true. Love plays deep between you and me. At least we got that, we can both agree. Driving in the car last night, we had a massive fight. Each insisting we were right and the other one to blame. So when you pulled that stunt, I screamed, you're a worthless cunt. My words is wrong, I think we're dumb. I've earned my share of shame. My share of shame. Kimberly inspired song there, that one. About an actual fight that Kimberly and I actually had. Or I actually got out of the car and actually leaned out the window and screamed, yo, worthless cunt! I regretted it, but, that's how I felt at the moment. Oh, he came here with her, and what's the big problem that you can't endure? It seems so sure you're not appropriate claiming to blame things on Scott. Despite getting caught, he's got you refraining for him, straining for him, going to the gym to make yourself good enough again. Yeah, you guys both have lost invested. That's not a reason to stay around. Through the years you both been tested. Time to move up, find higher ground. Oh, he came here with her, and what's the big problem? You can't endure. You seem so sure it's not appropriate claiming to blame things on Scott. Despite getting caught, he's got you refraining for him, straining for him, going to the gym to make yourself good enough again. Be done with him. I play that okay. It's a tough song for me to play. Rachel and I were practicing this song earlier. was fun. Sammy had a story that need be told, and this is a song for an open road. Such a thing must always do its job. Married up Jeb, turned 19, 4 years and 3 kids. Weary now and questioning the path. Agency out, this is discretion. Locking in our courses, way too young. The urgency convert is really just depression. Making sure those underneath them always run. Doug at 20 thought bourbon fun, likewise Doug at 21, and so forth, well up into middle age. But once it seemed to set him free, became his whole identity. Now Doug's about another drunken rage. Agency out, faces discretion, locking in our courses, way too young. The urgency convert is really just depression. They'll offer you incentives, but they haven't got a thing that's fun. Everybody panic about the kids. Lock 'em up with extra dextrin. Mathematics to produce success, or impose more unjust duress. Agency outpaces discretion, locking in our courses, way too young. Agency convert is really just depression, making sure they're underneath them always run. Without consent, it's really just depression. By parasites surviving on their wages earned by lying, while they feed the fear of dying. Yeah, they feed upon the futures of the young. Fucked up the ending. Of course you did, Eric. That's what you do, dog. That's how you roll. You fuck everything up all the time. When I was younger, it seemed that everything gleamed. I don't know what happened to me, but I've lost that sense of urgency, and I don't think that I'll ever see it again. If you follow my lead, you'll discover I'm loster than you. And you'll want to know the way to get back out to wherever it was you thought you knew. When tomorrow will be just like today, I'll be lost then too. It's a matter of mood, as much as a matter of will. And the things I do and the direction I point to still seem a part of me, though departedly. And I wonder if I'll ever see them again. Bum-ba-dum down, ba-da-dum down, bum-ba-dum down, down. Bum-ba-dum down, ba-da-dum down, down to town. Wow, it sure does feel nice to play the guitar. It feels wonderful to play the guitar. Sometimes it's just like the nicest feeling in the world. A lot of times it's frustrating. A lot of times it's both. Let me try this song. from the east are blowing, driving on this mountain fire. Grant and Lana had best be going, they'd cut it down to the wire. Up everywhere, apocalypse hung heavy, truck was piling up with ash. Lana got the dogs in the Chevy and Grant granted out their petty cash. And all around the steady face of civil life is melting. A tipping point, the human race has dug this hole we fell in. If times are ending, then time is bending. Flames rain down from the sky, while the dogs knock out Grant's exhaust, and I stays awake to cry. 120 output Labor Day, and that means cooking the outdoors. Guy got distracted and fire got away. From Bradford to Arcadia, they curse his name. Fire chased them west and down the incline till they reached the foothills below. Found a room cheap for the night online. At least now they had someplace to go. Tomorrow they'd evaluate their options now that their life was burned away. Lana's place had placed in Laughlin. There wasn't really any more to say. If times are ending, then time is bending. Flames rain down from the sky. Now the dogs knock out with Grant's exhausted. Lana stays awake to cry, while the dogs knock out with Grant exhausted. Lana stays awake to cry. I played that pretty well. It's a pretty good song. I like it with my liking bone pretty well. I guess I'll play the new sad song. Just brooding here won't do any good, but brooding's more and more my style. I seek the cheery ways of standing where we stood, 'cause I've been stuck here a while. That's despite a natural selfishness that makes it easy to have fun. But flutters in the gut become a fist as all my visions come undone. I tried to stay distractions in the afternoon, but having new realities are breaking every day, and for a bit I am out of it. The reason still unsaid, still I need to get out of me. What's inside my head? It seems like everybody's so sensitive, so ready to just get mad. I seek the simple ways of living like a kid, 'cause who wants to be the dad? Have we lost our sense of scope and scale, our capacity to laugh, the sense to know and not to wail, and how to the golden calf? I tried to stop distractions in the afternoon away, but having new realities are breaking every day, and for a bit I am out of it. The reason still unsaid, still I need to get out of me. What's inside my head? And still I'm sad, so sad for me, sad for her, unhappily. What you call sorrow, I call home. Blue that sink clear down to the bone. Still I'm sad, so sad for me, sad for her, unhappily. What you call sorrow, I call home. Blue that sink clear down to the bone. Gerald has a thought. Gerald has a lot. Gerald has a plot to get to Margarine Tater Tots. He's got a good idea for an name-changing business, thinking now about what to call Christmas when they hire his firm to change that name. Gerald always thought there'd be chance enough to return to the work left rough. He'd get back to it eventually, but his visions piled up and his plans would interrupt all the work that started off so hopefully. And now his mind is back on his business, thinking of changing factless to listless, so how all the people must shout his name. And Gerald knows he understands ever more clearly here now. It won't provide explanation, provide you the why or the how. He'll see you and know you from inside your heart. Delighting, exciting, Gerald plays his part. But Gerald still knows too much to do, and he has spent time on the underview. Too much to discuss, where now and what. Too much time spent nitpicking this cue with you. Gerald has a thought. Gerald has a lot. Gerald has a plot to get to Marjorie's tasty spots. He's got a good idea for a name-changing business, thinking now about what to call Christmas when they hire that firm to change his name. Gerald has a thought. I guess that's about all I have in me right now. I feel like a scrunchy-faced, brunchy brace. My name. Scrunchy-faced, brunchy brace. Okay, thanks for sticking around. Oh, People Aren't Jesus? Okay, I'll play People Aren't Jesus. I haven't played that one. The reason I didn't play it, but I will definitely play it since somebody requested it, is because it's like in a bad spot for my vocal range. My voice isn't really great anyway right now, but if people, I gotta either do it low or high, you know. If people were Jesus, if Jesus was people but absent of sin, he must then have struggled with regular men and women, of course. When they too were present, disciples all warily eyeing the lesson. If people were Jesus, they'd know as they think, and everyone's work would be true. Feeling what's spoken would sit where they sing, and we'd all know just what to do. But people aren't Jesus once they're betrayed. Easy believing forever is lost. Maybe naivete is not to be saved, but the wise pay a terrible cost. Does virtue require a rational take? Or is virtue that's reasoned invariably fake? Does musing itself just distract from the flow? Or is flair better served by deliberate and slow? People aren't Jesus once they're betrayed. The easy believing forever is lost. Maybe naivete is not to be saved, but the wise pay terrible cost. The one you thought you knew acts like you never have met. The life you made for two has faded into regret. There's no one unshaken, we all have been shook. But being forsaken don't mean you're forsook. And though in the past we've been hung out to dry, we'll find them at last if we're willing to try. People like Jesus, once they're betrayed, easy believing forever is lost. Baby naivete is not to be saved, but the wise pay terrible cost. Yeah, baby naivete is not to be saved, but the wise pay terrible cost. Until the very, very end, that was about as well as I've ever played that song. I contained it pretty well. It seems to kind of get away from me. What's the matter with Chad? Is he terribly bad? Is he very like Dan? Is a terrible man? Is he sort of like you? Can't pay your bill? Is he rather like Jack? Too stuck on the facts? What's the matter with Sue? Will she know what to do if they bring attitude? Will she show ingenuity? She talks about you whenever we go walking. What's the matter with Bryn? She's been living in sin. She's been hanging with Jim, who's looking terribly thin. What's the deal with Frank? Stealing fish from my tank. He's colluding with you, and they're talking to Lou. What's wrong with the ladies? What's the matter with men? From the feelings of Katie to the coldness of Sven. They talk about you whenever we go walking. Paths that lead to lesser days. They'll tell out the overwatered past, and whoever's left of it's still okay. Just tie the sails to the mast. Are you angry at Kent or at Neville again? Don't bother with Kev, he's practically dead. Just focus on Bert, he's medium hurt. What's the quantity for Liz? Did she fail a quiz? What's the deal with Drew? Will she know what to do if they bring attitude? Will she show ingenuity? She talks about you whenever we go walking. Paths that lead to lesser days. Still spill out the overwatered past, and whoever's left that's still okay. Just tie the sails to the mast, 'cause each of us have much and gravely sinned. Throw up the hands, stiffen the chin. Catastrophe looms heavy overhead again. Time's gone will never be again. All right, that'll do it. That's gonna wrap it up with a Christmas bow, just in time for your Christmas hoe. That's what I like to say. Thank you for your claps. I'm a boy band sissy, singing boy band songs, sing about my feelings and how we should all get along. I'm a boy band sissy, feeling sissified, don't like manly things outside. Boy band sissy, sissy boy band. Why do you sing about your feelings? You boy band sissy and sissy boy band. Always you sing about your feelings. There you go. All right, we'll end on sissy boy band. Good night, everybody.